Since our last video, I finished sanding the nose to pretty close to final shape. I've got the contour here on the bottom, sanded the fuselage sides here, sanded the top, so it's a pretty good straight mark from here to here. I also installed the windshield by putting the 4 trim pieces on, 2 on either side. I installed this number 14 windshield forward former. What I did, I fastened here with 2 screws, stapled here, stapled on the other side, and then I start pulling back with a pair of pliers and drilling into the frame, installing a screw in each tab as you go around from center. You work your way out. And then another thing we've done, it is not included in the kit, but I just take some scrap wood and make a doubler on back of this seat rest. In a couple kits, this doubler is here, but not on the Mustang. You don't have to do this, but I like to do this just to have a little extra room to put the screws into. We have the slot cut here on the rudder for the turtle deck to slide into. And now we're going to start putting in, adjusting the propeller shaft to the spinner, and by installing the bearings and everything. So it's a lot easier working up here without the top cowling is, or when it's on, than working up through the bottom. What I do next is start to install the spinner and the bearings and the nuts on the prop shaft. There's 2 nuts in this spinner. One here and one that is glued and screwed to the inside of the spinner, about in this area here. This shaft, not the flat end, has to screw into here, and you should be able to feel where the other nut is starting to engage on the prop shaft. It's right there. So you got to get that in there. And this is just basic how it fits together. You got a tapered nut here, so the bearing on the front has the flange on the front side. The aft bearing is on the aft side. You have a nut here, yep. 2 nuts, a bearing, and a modified nut. Okay. And this is just to get this temporary adjusted. Slide it in from the front. You're going to have to do this 3 or 4 times to get it right. You want about, maybe 1/8 of an inch gap between the back of the spinner and the front of the nose cone. About right there. So that's how that lines up. You take this back out and you tighten all 4 of these nuts up to one another. And that's how you build up the front bearing. The aft 2 bearings, or aft bearing, you have another tapered nut. And you can slide this all the way back through here. You want to run that nut down to that bearing. Now I just do this all at one time when I put the prop shaft in. You take another thin nut, a jam nut, start it on the prop shaft as you're going through. At the same time, you take the pulley and pull it on the shaft. But remember, this is only the start. You want to get this nut down in there, and this one here. Okay, so you got all your bearings and nuts in. Then you can go ahead and tighten down the Allen screw on your pulley while you're putting the shaft in. And that's how you build up the prop shaft. Now we're going to start putting the sheet metal on the nose of the Mustang. You have two of these side windshield trim pieces. You got a left and a right. What you want to do, you're going to mount this right in this area. And I'm going to have to move around to the other side to get it to where I put it. On these you have a bend line right here. I don't know if you can see that in there, but it's bent for you. And you want to put this corner, the aft lower corner, about in the middle of that screw that goes through the windshield frame. And you want to put that right there. And I like to put in one screw to hold that. You want to line that up to about right there. You want your bend right on top of your fuselage mark, or your line of your fuselage. You do the same thing on the left side. Okay. So these are just temporarily installed right now. Now we're going to start on the sheet metal installation. When you sand the nose pine, do not sand this area very round. You want it flat right in this area. You want that pretty flat. So don't round it too much, because that'll affect how your nose sheet metal is formed around here. You want to make your center marks again on the nose plate and on this number 14 windshield former. You want to take the nose cowling. This hole right here in the front is center. These two holes back here on the aft end are not in the center. So you have to find out the center of these two holes. The distance between these two holes is about 1 7/8 inches. So you take your center mark right here and go out 15/16 of an inch on either side. That's where these two holes should line up, in the center of the number 14. Now we're going to put the nose cowl on after you find your marks on the back. Okay, I got the two holes here over my marks I put on here. This mark is over my front mark. So, holding that, and holding this back here, put a couple screws to hold this on. And you're going to have this on 2 or 3 times, so yeah, always put your screws back in so the front cowling or any piece of the sheet metal doesn't shift on you. One little pointer, you want the aft edge of the sheet metal just about to the bottom of these two screws on the windshield frames, the trim pieces. That looks pretty close. Now what you do, you work out from center, front and back as you go. Drill, drill, screw all the way out. How I do this, I start in the middle and work out one screw at a time, left to right, right to left, all the way around this. So that pulls this cowling down all the way around while you're working it out. That's how I do it. It works out pretty good. This is where you stop on the side. You get all the screws done on the aft trim all the way down to here. If you sand a little bit too much in here like I did, you're going to have a little pucker on your nose cowling right in here, but I can fix that later. So now you're going to take a pencil and mark the top edge of your fuselage side coming out on the nose. And back here. You're going to want to bend, you want to make this mark right here with a pencil. It's going to be hard to see on film, but and you want to do the same thing back here. You're going to do that to both sides, the right and the left. Okay, you got all your screws installed, and you got your marks back here, forward and aft on both sides. Go ahead and take the top cowling off. Now we're going to bend the flange on the forward cowling. Yeah, this side, this will come off 2 or 3 times before you get it right. So just take your time. It'll turn out just fine. Okay. Okay. This is a piece of steel angle iron. It's 2-inch angle. I use this to bend all my sheet metal out. You want to line up your mark that you put on the fuselage to the edge here on the sheet or on the steel, front and back. There's a mark there. There's a mark right here. Now you're going to want to bend this down. You take a small hammer. Don't use a steel hammer. Just bend it down. Like I said, you may have to do this a couple times to get it to fit. At the very front of this, do not bend it. You want to stop your bend about this hole right here. So from this edge to this hole, do not bend it. And you want to do this to both sides. Start at the back. Again, stop at that first hole or the second hole here. Okay. That's what you're going to get out of this. Nice little bend right here. Okay, we got the sides bent here. Hopefully it's pretty close to what we need. So go ahead and put this back on with all your screws so far. Okay, now we have this back on about where it's supposed to go. Let me get over here. Now we're going to start drilling these final holes in both sides. I like to just hold this down with my hand. Start in the middle. And work your way front and aft from that spot. There you go. Now you do the same on the other side. And then the upper top cowling is complete. Now we're going to install the turtle deck. You're going to get it and it's going to be round, rolled a little bit. It's pretty close to what you need. This slot is going to go right up through here. Slide this down into the slot of the rudder until the front is just hanging over the seat back here. Again, find the center of your sheet metal on the front and the center of your seat back. What I like to do, this bend here on the side is 1/2 inch. So I just set it down in here now and make sure I have enough metal going over each side that I can catch these screws into the fuselage side. If this is up too high, go ahead and sand the back of your seat belt or your seat back. That will bring the front of this down. But remember, don't take too much off. Take a little bit off at a time. Keep putting this on and off till you get it right. So now I'm going to take it off and I'm going to make a 1/2 inch bend on both sides of the turtle back. We're going to mark this a 1/2 inch up from the edge on both sides. We're going to take it back over to our angle steel. And we're going to bend the flange on this. Again, line up your mark. On the edge of the angle. The aft edge here only gets about a 10-degree bend in it. Up here, it's on the front, it's about 40 to 45 degrees. So in the middle, you're about 30 degrees. And you're going to end up with a bend like this.
Tilt it this. Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Something like that. You may have to do this a couple times. Go ahead and do the other side. Then it turns out just like this. Put it back on the airplane. Find your center. Again. And it's going to fit pretty good. I think I may have to move it one way or the other. I think I probably sanded too much off here, but we're going to make it work. Yeah, it'll work. Okay, I'm going to drill a hole on this side just to hold it. Then put a screw in. I'll come around to that side and do the same. If you want, you can put a ratchet strap or something across this, but don't wrinkle this because you'll be buying another one then. So I just hold it down tight with my hand. From there, I work from center out on both sides and screw this down. Show you how to do that. These 3 screw holes here on the rudder use 3/8 inch long screws. So don't drill all the way through. Just barely start it and put short screws in there. You're going to put one more screw in here up front at this corner after you trim this off on your seat back. Go ahead and put all the same screws in on the other side. Okay, now we got all the screws on the sides and on the rudder installed. Now take your pencil or a black magic marker and come up from the bottom of your seat or top of the seat back and draw a line on the bottom of the sheet metal. Then you're going to take the turtle deck back off, cut this, plus a little bit so it does not hang over the front of the seat back. Now you're going to cut on your line that you did with your pencil. It's probably hard to see here, but there is a line there with a pencil. On the plans, it shows to bend this edge here just a little bit to stiffen this edge up and make a nicer point on the fuselage. You can do it with pliers, barely a little bit, but I have a sheet metal brake I bend it with. And you just want to put another brake on here like that. Both sides. It just stiffens this edge up a little bit. Just like that. Okay, now we slide it back on and put all the screws back in it and check this edge here. We want to put a screw here in this corner and the same thing over here. And one right in the very top center. Where'd my drill bit go? Where'd I lost it? There it is. About 1/4 inch from the back. Enlarge that hole, those 2 holes, 3 holes. Want to enlarge these holes, but don't go into the wood. fly in here. All right, now you have to put 7 screws around here. It comes out to about 2-inch spacing. So what I do, throw my pencil, put a mark, around there. Start going from your top center. Now we can go this way, I don't care. About every 2 inches, make a mark. Same thing on this side. Drill them and put their screws in. Again, work from the center out. Okay, one more time, you want to check this area here. Make sure it does not overhang the back of the seat net. Don't want nobody to get hurt. And that's the turtle deck installation.